So we're going to transition from working in 1-point perspective to working in 2-point perspective. So you'll notice that with this drawing right here, which is the one that I'm going to show you how to do, instead of having 1 point, we're having 2 points. And for this exercise, we're going to put them more towards the center of the paper. And we're going to do 3 boxes, kind of like we did before, only the boxes will be on the center of the paper instead of up above it. And then we're going to change the center box into something that looks a little bit like a barn, because we're going to transition into doing some drawings. If you still like perspective, that you can use your perspective to do something that looks like a house in 2-point perspective. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this one, and just to save myself a little bit of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece of paper on top of it, and every once in a while I'll lift it up so that I can see through it, so that I can kind of move on from there. All right. So I'm going to put my dot, and I'm going to put my dot, and I'm just going to tell you how far down that is. I think I used half the paper, and I did. So at 1 1/4, I'm sorry, at 4 1/4, and at 4 1/4, that's where we're going to put our horizon line this time. So I'm going to put my line going across. You can make it kind of light. And when you're working with 2-point perspective, rather than starting with the center or the front of something, you're always going to start with a corner of something. So stay there, if I were to draw this box, I am going to start with this corner. Whereas when we did a letter, we started with the face of it. So we started with a rectangle or a square. That's how you start with 1 point. But with 2-point, you always start with a corner, and the corner is drawn with a straight line. So I'm going to start with the corner, and I'm going to draw that as a straight line. And just so that everybody's kind of looks like everybody else's, I'm just going to give myself a little mark where those are. And yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but we're going to have one that is above the horizon line, one that falls on the horizon line, and then one that is below on the opposite side of the horizon line. Okay, so that is the corner of my first box, the corner of my second box, and the corner of my third box. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw lines to our vanishing points from the top and the bottom of each of the corners. So I'm going to start on my left-hand side just because it's easier for me. I'm going to start off dark, and then I'll just make it lighter as I go back. I'll start off dark, and as I get towards my vanishing point, I'll make it a little bit lighter. These are called vanishing rays, just like they were called vanishing rays on our 1-point perspective. And to the vanishing point. Okay, so this is the bottom, because I'm down here, so I'd be able to see the bottom of the box, and I'd be able to see 2 sides of the box, because remember, our horizon line is our eye level line. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how fat the box is. So if I were to draw the line way over here, that would be a very fat box. And you can draw a fat box if you want, but I do want to save this space right in here for my box on the horizon line that's going to end up looking a little bit like a house. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a straight line, and I'm going to join those 2 vanishing rays together. All right. And then I'm going to take this corner, just like this corner went to this side, this corner is going to go to this side as well. And now I'm going to finish off the block. I can't draw to the other side again. I've already drawn to the other side, so that's why I have to draw to the left side. So I'm going to decide how far back in space it's going to go. So let's say that I say it's going to go back about this far. And I'm going to make a straight line. And now I only have to draw one more vanishing ray. I have to draw the other end of this line right here. This is the front. There's going to be one in the back. So I know because this one's going this way, this one would go this way. It has to go the same way as the original. It's going to go to my right vanishing point. And except for shading, that block is done. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to my middle one. My middle one's the easiest one because it's right straight in front of my face. So I'm not going to see the bottom of it and I'm not going to see the top of it. I'm just going to see the two sides of it because remember, that's where my eyes are. So I'm going to go draw my vanishing rays to the left side, just because it's easier for me to go left. And then I'm going to do it to the right side. So you can start off with the right side, doesn't matter, as long as you have 4 vanishing rays, 2 going to one vanishing point, and 1 going to the other vanishing point. And then I'll make it kind of like this one right here. So I'm going to make it a little bit fatter on one side, a little bit thinner on the other side. So what I want to do is I want to draw the back side of this one right here, which means that I'm going to come over and I'm going to do a straight line. So in 2-point perspective, either the line goes straight up and down like my ruler, or it goes to a vanishing point. Okay, so that now this whole side is completed. Now I'm going to go over to my other side and I'm going to join these two right here, and that will complete my box because I don't see the top and I don't see the bottom because it's smack dab right in front of my eyes. So that one is done, except we're going to make it into a little bit of a house later. So now I'm left with my bottom one down here. I'm going to do vanishing rays to the left vanishing point. I'm going to do vanishing rays to the right vanishing point. Since this one is below my eyes, I'm going to end up seeing some of the top of it. So I'm going to start there. There's one vanishing ray. There's another vanishing ray. And then to my other side. Right there. And lastly, right there. Okay, and now just so that they kind of look like each other, if you're looking at these to help you, if you get confused, I try to keep them looking kind of the same. So I'm going to make this line right here, I'm going to make it closer to the corner, and I'll make this one further away. So let's say that I put this one right here, and I'll probably put this one way out here. So I'm going to draw a straight line. That is the end of that side of the box. This is the end of that side of the box. And you can see right here where I'm going to need to finish the top of the box. So to finish the top of the box, I'm going to go from this corner right here, and I'm going to bring it over. And I just skipped over because I didn't want to make a line on my middle one. And then I'm going to go from this one to this corner right here. And there's my box right there. All right, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to shade them so that they go from darker to lighter, from darker to lighter, from darker to lighter, from darker to lighter. And then we're just going to do one added thing to this one. Okay, so I'm going to go from darker to lighter and darker to lighter, from darker to lighter. All right, so let's play with this one just for a minute. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make something that looks like a little bit of a barn right here, just to get a couple more steps of perspective in case you do want to use it for your last project. So in order to get the roof, we have to figure out where the center of this part of the block is. And because it's in perspective, we can't just measure and say this is 1.5 inches, so 3/4 of an inch is going to be the center. Because in perspective, those things that are closer are larger and those things that go away into space are smaller. So that is why just a simple measurement is not going to make it. Just like if we looked at railroad tracks, we know the railroad tracks are all spaced the same, but the ones that are closest to us look like they're bigger and the ones that are further away look smaller. So the way to find the center in anything in 2-point perspective is to make an X. So I'm going to make an X from one corner to the other corner, from one corner to the other corner. So from one corner to the other corner. And that will always give me the center. So you can see this side is a little bit bigger than that side, which makes sense because in perspective, in the way that we see, those things that are closer look bigger than those things that are further away. All right. So where this center is, of course, if we were to build a roof, we would put the roof in the center of the roof would be over the center of the house. I'm just going to try to make a straight line. I have a hard time with straight lines too. So I'm going to bring up a line, okay? And then I'm going to put the peak of my roof on that in just a second. The other thing too is when we put the roof on, we want to make sure that it rests on these little corners right here, because when it rains, you don't want the water going into your house, so the eave actually touches on that and then comes out a little bit so that when the water runs off the roof, it doesn't run against your house. And I made it over here so that you can see it too. See how it goes past? And that's what we're going to do. And once you have it passed on the other side, we're actually going to line this up and we'll find out where it goes onto this side as well. All right, so let's draw one of the eaves. So I'm going to go from my roof. I'm not going to have it right here because right here I would touch onto that corner. I'm going to move it just a little bit out and I'm going to have it sit on there like that. Okay, and if I like, and I do like, if I like how long I made that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, put it on the bottom of that, on the bottom of the eave, and I'm going to make a little mark over here because whatever happens on this side will happen on the other side as well, but it has to line up with the vanishing ray that goes that way. Okay, so now I'm going to do this side, and I'm going to have it come off that little intersection, and it's going to come down to that line right there. So a little bit too far off. That's better. Okay, and because that's going to mess with people's heads because that one's wider, I'm just going to go back and make this one fatter. Okay, all right, now we're going to go from the tip of our roof over to the right vanishing point. So I went from here to my vanishing point. And now I'm going to draw this angle. And this is the only time I'm going to sketch something in. I could actually make the house like it was an aquarium. I could bring this over to this vanishing point and that one over to that and finish up and do the back side of this and make an X and bring that up and then bring this way. That would be the correct way to do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep that angle the same. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a guideline over there, and that is what I'm going to do. So this is the only line that will be not absolutely perfect. All right, and then I'm going to take my corner of my eave and I'm going to bring it over, and that will be the bottom of my roof over there. Now we're going to put the house on a foundation, or the barn on a foundation. So you're going to make a little mark wherever you think that the foundation is going to be, right in here. And then on one side we'll go to the left vanishing point. And on the other side we will go to the right vanishing point. So there's my foundation. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to make a barn door in here. Okay, So what I'm going to do is, because I've already made the X, it's going to help me make a big barn door. So I'm going to come up until I hit the corner of the X, and then I'm going to go across, but this line is going to go to my vanishing point, and then I'm going to come down and I will have the barn door drawn. So I'm going to start on the left hand side. I'm going to try to make a straight line. Let's see how straight it came out. Not bad. Once it hit there, I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to put it on this point and over to this vanishing point. So I'm going to line it up to the vanishing point and to that point right there until it hits the other cross of that line. Then I'm going to bring that guy down right to there. And then I have what looks like a barn door right there. If I were to make any type of windows on this side of the house, it also would line up to the top of the door. So what I would do is, as I bring that line over, it touches right there. I'm going to bring this over. Any window that I had on this side or any door that I had on this side would line up with the top of that. So if I had a window right here and I had a window right there, it would line up with the top of that. And just because it's hitting my horizon line, I'm just going to go. And all the bottoms would line up with the right vanishing point over there. Okay, I'm just going to erase those because they're not centered right. If I had two windows on this side of the building, I would do the same thing that I did there. I would make an X, and I would know that one would fall on one side of the X and one would fall on the other side of the X. If I wanted to make a step that came off of here, anything that pushes off is going, actually I make a little deck over here. Would go off that way, and I would end it. I'm going to end it where there's no line, so I'm going to end it right there. And then I would have to figure out where the bottom of it was, so it's going to come down to here. My bottom would come out to here. This would be my corner, and then this side's going to go over to the vanishing point, the left vanishing point, until it is right there. And now I have a little deck on my barn too. Okay, so what I would like you to do for this week is I would like you to do this right here. So your horizon line in the center of your paper. You're going to start with a corner, so a box above starting with the corner. You're going to put a box on the horizon line. It's going to start with a line. A box below, it's going to start with a line. They're going to go to the vanishing points on all sides. You're going to leave the center one naked, no shading. You're going to shade the top one. You're going to shade the bottom one. And then you're going to change your middle one, this one right here. You're going to put a roof on it. And you're going to put a barn door on it, and you're going to put a foundation. If you remember how to do those steps, or you want to go back into the video and see how to put your deck on it, you are welcome to do that as well. Okay, so this will be the last step-by-step video before we do the last project. And the last project, I was working on it today. I'd like it to appeal to everyone, so you can use your perspective skills in making your last project, or you can just use your imagination and your drawing skills. But it's going to be a home, and it could be a home any place. It could be a home of the future. It can be a home from outer space. It can be a home that an animal lives in. It could be the inside of a home that an animal lives in. It could be your home. It could be the inside of your home, but I'll show you a whole bunch of examples of different takes, the way that other people have approached it, and whether you want to do it as somebody else has, or you have a whole entire idea of your own. So you can include your perspective skills, or you don't have to include your perspective skills. It will be up to you. Okay, and this will be due on Friday, and I'm doing this a little bit beforehand, so I'm not sure what the date of Friday is.
My husband's telling me it's 1/5, but I'm doing it a week and a half early.
Oh, a week and a half. Can't help
So
it.
it's a week from 1/5. All right, so a week from 1/5. Obviously, it will be on Google Classroom. So I think it's like the 22nd, maybe, if we did our math correctly, but who knows if we did our math correctly. All right, so keep doing a great job. Just about everybody's passing in their work. Just about everybody's work is correct. So you're doing really, really well. One more step by step, and then you get kind of sort of a free draw where you get to use your imagination as well. Okay, cool cats.